I'm willing to acknowledge I can be wrong, but that's my truth. That's my side of it, and I'd like to think I thought it all the way through. Here's the way this would work: is that if we can see what the brokers are getting paid on the load, then we can get more and see what they're keeping. Well, there's a problem that goes along with that. If we can see that, so can everybody else. So let's pick on TQL for a moment, because they're really popular to pick on YouTube. So I just let them talk. People like to talk, and it's all information. So, make mental notes. But the more I do this, the longer I do this, the one thing that becomes more evident to me every day is this is all about relationships. It is the most important thing. It is more important than half the other things in this industry. It is that important. Relationships with maintenance, fuel, brokers, customers, every aspect of it. Block out the noise, figure out what it is you want to do, block out the noise, and go do it. There's always opportunity somewhere. You just got to find it. And think things through. I did a live stream a couple weeks ago it's called The Truth About Broker Transparency. Watch it with an open mind. At least say, I'm gonna watch this one thing with an open mind. And at the end, if you still disagree, hey, you still disagree.
We even get into this, I want to let everybody know that this man right here is a friend of mine, and also a YouTuber giving people personal experience and advice. And I think it's important coming from people that are in the industry and coming from people that are actually doing what they say they do, right? And so I want to start that off, because the topic that we're going to get into, it's going to be a topic that I would say might make you feel a certain way. And maybe after this discussion, because, you messaged me the other day, DIY, and said, hey, I have an unpopular opinion about something, but let me kind of let you guys know what's going on. So further ado, DIY Semi, make sure you follow him on all social medias, YouTube, and all of that good stuff. Please introduce yourself, brother.
Well, I appreciate you having me on again. My name's Adam. The channel is DIY Semi Trucking and More. And I'm a small fleet owner, very small. And full disclosure, I also, about 2 years ago, started a small brokerage to go along with my company here. Very small. We don't do a lot. And yeah, this is probably one of the more divisive topics in the industry right now. But I don't feel like it's getting the discussion that it needs to get, and that all aspects of it are being talked about. Mostly what you hear is brokers are ripping us off. We need more of the money. Well, I'd like to talk about some of the other issues that go along with it today, and why I believe it'll actually be bad for truck drivers running the spot market. It will actually hurt us. And none of these things really seem to be getting talked about.
No,
so it's going to get a lot of hate. It's going to be a lot of hate. I can handle that. I know you got thick skin, but I just want everybody to think this all the way through before you sign up for yet another law that can't be enforced and won't be enforced.
I like that a lot. And that's what the channel's about. It's just having a platform for all truck drivers to be able to say what they feel. There's no narrative on this channel. If it helps truck drivers or if it gives you insight, I want you on the show. So, if anyone else has any strong opinions and facts to back it up, mothertruckerdudes@gmail.com. Now, I'm going to have to stop you right here, DIY, because you keep on saying the word small, small, small. You know what's small to most truck drivers? One truck. So how many trucks do you have currently right now?
We bounce around like six to eight trucks, depending on how many drivers I have at the time.
So yes, I agree. You're being humble. 6 to 8 trucks does sound smaller compared to 5,000 trucks.
Yeah, not even a blip on the radar.
But we can't disregard that 8 trucks means that you're in the business. And to scale from 8 to 20, it really isn't that much. From 8,
right,
after you could run about 4 to 5 trucks, honestly, you could repeat, rinse, and repeat and run 20 to 30. So the reason why I bring this up is because, I don't want to disregard you saying that you're so small, and then now everything that you're saying, people are going to be like, well, he only has one truck and he's probably not successful at all, right? So that's why I just wanted to bring that portion up.
Okay.
Was he has a fleet of 6 to 8 trucks at a time, and he brokers and runs all those trucks and has a brokerage as well. Okay, go ahead.
Here's the way this would work is that if we can see what the brokers are getting paid on the load, then we can, get more and see what they're keeping. Well, there's a problem that goes along with that. If we can see that, so can everybody else. So let's pick on TQL for a moment, because they're really popular to pick on YouTube. So I call TQL for a load, right? And I agree. They say, okay, this load's paying $1,500 because they have to tell me, right, that they're getting $1,500 on this load. Maybe they're trying to pay me $1,000. Let's set that aside for a minute. The key piece of information here is I know they're getting $1,500 on this load, right? What do you think I'm going to do by the end of the week as a person with my own trucks? And that's a lane that I like. I run that a lot. I can be reliable. I can handle the capacity. I'm going to get with that shipper and try to take that lane from them. And I already have the most important piece of information that I need to know in trying to secure that lane. I already know the price. All I have to do is provide the same service and haul it a little bit cheaper than TQL was doing. And it's mine. But guess what? Next week, somebody's going to do the same thing to me. We will find the bottom of this freight market faster than you can shake a stick. This is a race to the bottom, because that's exactly how it works. That's exactly how all these foreign brokers doing it right now. You want to talk about a real issue in this industry? Let's talk about that, but that's another show. People will cut each other's throat so fast you will not know what happened, and we will be at the bottom of this market very, very quickly. It's an unintended consequence, but that's what new regulations are full of. They're full of unintended consequences. That's the reality of how it will work. If it gets passed and if it is enforced. Here's the problem. It cannot be enforced. It won't be enforced. There's no mechanism to enforce it. There's no agency to enforce it. We will need a whole nother government bureaucracy, because the FMCSA does not do day-to-day enforcement on these type of things. And the proof of that is we already have transparency. We have a rule that says if a carrier employs people on percentage, whether they're employee or owner-operator, that person being paid percentage is entitled to see the freight bill. Nobody gets to see these freight bills, even if you ask. And if you ask for a rate con from a lot of these shadier companies, say in the Chicago area, they're falsified and doctored. And if I, as a broker, I don't do this, I broker very little, for full disclosure. I broker the freight that I can't handle with my own trucks, just to satisfy my customer. If people come to me and wanted that, I could run that load through 5 different companies I own to get the rate down to what I want them to see, right? And show them that. Or I can get a freight forwarder number, become the shipper, and that's a legitimate document. I can put on there whatever I want that the load is paying, because I'm now the shipper if I have a freight forwarder number. So there's no way there's no mechanism to make what people want to happen.
No, I understand. Would you say then that the only way to truly combat this and bring up the freight rates is whoever that person that's willing to take that cheap freight has to just stop? We, as a trucking industry, if possible. Now, and we'll talk about what we talked about off camera in a second, I think, is what people don't understand are the big box, the mega carriers. They run on pennies, people. And we'll get back into that.
Yeah.
But, people bring that up a lot, right? DIY, they say, hey.
Yeah, don't haul cheap freight. That's the mantra, right?
Freight, right? And so what's your thoughts about that? And is that, would you say, a factual statement, or do you think that's just going to leave room for the big dogs to come in and just eat it up once again?
It's a factual statement if it wasn't at all possible. But freight will always get moved. Freight always has got moved. Cheap freight has always gotten moved. There is no situation where we all come together and everybody agrees not to do it. Somebody will always do it. So it's a dead argument as far as I'm concerned. And plus, okay, everybody says don't haul cheap freight. Well, tell me what cheap freight is, because I guarantee you my costs are substantially different than the guy parked at the truck stop right here next to me. We can haul freight for completely different rates. Will I? No, I have a rate that won't go below. but that doesn't mean that he won't haul it just because he can, or he wants to go there, or it's going home, so we might as well make some money anyway.
Right.
We need to find a different argument. That one never has and never will. We've been with that argument for 30 years, and it doesn't work. So we need to find a different approach, because that's a dead horse. We're just beating a dead horse.
Gotcha. Would you say the best horse to, or the best trail to go down then would be for there to be a minimum pay, hourly pay that a driver makes? If we went on hourly wage, what would you think that would do to our industry?
It would rock the world of trucking. It's a very difficult. I mean, if you have carriers that have to pay their driver by the hour, but then they're getting paid, by the mile, by the load, it's hard to make the two jive, right? Because this industry is so dynamic and so different. You have hundreds of different styles of trucking. You might have end dump and dry van, reefer and oversize. That's part of the problem with this industry, is they try to pass these laws that are one size fits all. And this is anything but a one size fits all industry.
I agree with you, because when owner operators say, "Hey, we should be able to run by no hours of service," well, then a company driver would say, "No, I like the hours of service because it protects me from my carrier making me run all night."
Well, that's that. We have issues in this industry that are far bigger than speed limiters, broker transparency. One thing is, you just brought it up, is coercion. Right. So back when they redid the hours of service and the ELDs a few years ago, they put rules in there against coercion, where your company cannot coerce you to drive. They cannot punish you for refusing to violate your hours of service. Right.
Right.
That doesn't happen a ton, but I'll tell you what does happen is coercion by shippers and receivers. If you can't legally complete a run because the shipper held you up, and you end up being late at the receiver through no fault of your own, you or your company get a $200, $300, $400, $500 late fee. A financial penalty for refusing to break the law and violate the hours of service is the definition of coercion. Yet shippers and receivers are not held to that standard, and that's where most of the problems are coming in. The same with detaining a truck beyond a reasonable time period. I don't know how many times I've had people order a truck, and you get there and they're like, "We don't even have that load. We're not shipping it," or it canceled. Well, you ordered a truck for a non-existent load. There ought to be a severe, legal penalty or financial penalty for that. Knowingly, if they do it knowingly, which a lot of times they do, they'll be real straight up front with you. But the real problems in this industry have never been addressed, and they never will be, because the people that are responsible for them are the ones that donate millions of dollars to politicians. So it's easier to put it on the trucking company and the driver. They have no recourse.
So what is the elephant in the room? Regulations on the actual shippers, regulations on the people that, because when you think about back, 6-7 months ago, right? They're talking about this, a shortage of ports, and they can't get trucks. And then people are filming at the ports, and it's a slew of trucks, but only 4 guys working the docks, right? So you look at that, and I agree with you that we're here getting paid by picking up the load and delivering it, and that's when we get paid. They're getting paid by hour.
Right.
So
the part of the elephant is regulations and laws that are unequally enforced or selectively enforced. So, they enforce coercion rules against carriers, but not shippers and receivers. You brought up the port. They're shorthanded. They can't load the trucks in time. Hey, I'm short help a lot of times. It does not excuse me from any of the laws and regulations on the books just because I'm short help or have this problem or I have that problem. I blew a tire. Well, that happens in real life. Hey, they're shorthanded. I'm shorthanded. Whatever. There's always a penalty for me. There's always a regulation I have to abide by. What's good for one is good for all, right? This rules for thee, but not for me. Either it's for everybody or the selective enforcement is the problem.
No, I hear you. So I would never put words in your mouth, but at the end of this day, when we're talking about this broker transparency, and most people would say they would want it. Your thoughts are, if we get what we want, that will be the end of the advantage that small carriers and owner operators have versus the big dogs?
It will hurt more than it will help. I will say there can be some upsides to it, but I tell you what, the upsides will get steamrolled by the downsides of it, because it's one of those things again where it's going to who's going to enforce it and who's going to do anything about it, and it's not going to be in our favor. These things are always decided in somebody else's favor.
No, I agree. Do you think that's why Uber Freight has not worked?
Well, there's a whole nother thing going on with that right now. I don't know if you want to get into that or not.
Hey, we're here. This is your time, and I just want to give it to you. I'm just asking questions that I believe that the subscribers and the trucking community will have, because I already know in this title, it's pretty much going to be a please don't hate me for this, but we shouldn't have broker transparency. And
hey, blame me. I'll take it. So since we're just getting all kinds of people's feelings here hurt today, let's just get into one more thing. The dangerous part in trucking is what you think you know, right? And that's with everything. What you think you know, if you're so convicted in it, you can't learn anything else or see other things that are going on, right? There is a lot going on in trucking right now. Trucking is about to change big time. And you and I talked about a lot of different things that are going on, but let me tell you about this one thing. So, with all the new carriers and small owner operators in the spot market, you're about to get your world rocked by rates. There's been some things for a while going on with freight matrix, something called freight matrix, but there's this new thing called dynamic freight pricing, and carriers do not have access to it. Brokers do not have access to it. Okay, this is going to change the way brokers do business. This is very much a shipper's market right now. It is not a broker's market. I know, I'm in the industry. This is a shipper's market, and they are clamping down to make sure this runaway freight rate thing never happens again. I think MIT had a part of this. Some other universities, they developed this AI software, artificial intelligence software. It's called dynamic freight pricing. It's for the shippers so that they can know to the second of every day of the week what they should be paying for freight. They set the rates. It's based on fuel prices, weather, supply and demand of trucks, seasonal demand, all kinds of things factor into this. It will factor every fuel stop on the route and allow so much for fuel purchases, blah, blah, blah. But it's a tight grip on rates. And they issue these rates to the brokers and say, the broker, this is what you will cover this lane for. So if you have 20 different brokers trying to secure that same freight, their only negotiation point is what their markup is, right? Because the rate is set by the shipper. The shipper can change the rate throughout the day or whatever, but it's set by the shipper. So their service level and what their markup is. This is going to force every broker, not that 80% of them already haven't, it's going to force every broker to offshore or outsource overseas to get their costs down. If they're paying somebody in Pakistan, $1.50 a day, they can mark that freight up less than somebody here who's got to pay somebody $100 a day, right? They got to keep their costs down to keep that freight.
And what is this dynamic? I'm trying to look this up right now. DIY dynamic freight.
Yeah, it's called dynamic freight pricing.
Oh, dynamic freight pricing. Okay, let me try and get. I'm gonna try and find this so we can show the viewers.
Now, here's where they compile their information from. Going back to Uber, they draw information from all over the place: factoring companies, TMS services, but the biggest one is your click and go freight apps: Uber, Convoy, JB Hunt, all these things. Every time you open that app, even if you don't click on anything or look at a load, it draws information. Every time you click on a load, it draws information on the loads you're looking at, showing levels of interest. Every time you place a bid, retract the bid, how much you come down on your price when you rebid a load. They use all this information to determine these pricings. They are going to have a very tight grip on freight rates going forward. This will take a little bit of time to be in place, and it's already being used. Sometimes if you see a load on the load board, the same load with 5 different brokers and they're all at the exact same price. This is part of what's going on already. Like I know Surge Transportation does this. Some of your bigger ones are already participating this with some of your bigger shippers. This software is very expensive, so it may only be.
They're writing articles about this right here. You see this screen right here? Dynamic rate pricing, and they're talking about it. And the first thing I did when I scrolled into this article, right away, Convoy's using it.
Right.
You know, all these people are trying to get ahead of it.
So
right?
So backing up to what I was saying about what you think you know, if you can't adapt in advance and understand these things are going on, you're going to be hurt badly. So the old adage of brokers going to shippers and saying, I'll haul it for this, and then another broker, I'll haul it for this, or I'll haul it for that. That business model is being busted. This is going to be a whole new spot market going forward. Now, this will take some time. I'm not talking about it in the next 3 weeks. Just like, autonomy, these things, they take time. But this is going to change forever. And you have to understand, the more you understand the market, the better off you can be. But people can be very stuck in their old ways of doing things. I do not like this. Trust me. I am not in favor of any of this. So don't think that. I'm just saying what's going on because people need to know.
No, I understand that. No, I appreciate that. If we can segue a little bit, let's talk about some positivity. If they got through all this gloom and doom, because it's not gloom and doom, people. What it is things that are happening.
Yeah, it's the truth.
It's better to know than not to know. And when you bring up that just idea of, wait a minute, broker transparency, wait up, now everybody knows what they're paying. Well, companies that are bigger than you,
you don't. I won't stand a chance. I know that going into it. Like when this all starts, everywhere, people like me will be gone.
You really feel that if there was broker
how do I compete?
That, hey, this is the rule, this is the law, and every broker, what have you, has to put the actual price that the shipper is charging on this rate con, what have you. Within that year, you don't think that you with 8 trucks could compete? You would be out of business.
Maybe with the trucks I can, my brokers would pretty much be gone. I can't compete with C.H. Robinson or whoever. Only thing I can stand on is my level of service, which to my customers right now is we're very happy working together. But eventually they cave to pressures. They have their bosses. They have budgets to meet. Shippers' budgets are busted for the last couple of years with shipping costs. Their companies have been rocked, right? They have to fix it. But
let's talk about some positivity then. Like,
okay.
You are in the business. If
right.
somebody wants to right now, they get into the trucking industry and, their dreams as well as the American dream of building a business, what is your top few advices that you wish you could have told yourself?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because despite it's tough times in trucking right now, but just like with everything else, there's opportunity everywhere. Like, this industry is so strange. It can be so bad and so good at the same time, right? Like, spot market freight is rough right now. Fuel is high, but we're actually doing well based on the relationships that we've built over the last 2 years, and tried to make those relationships rock solid. So something to be positive about is the level of information out there for somebody starting off in this industry right now is at an all-time high. When I started this, YouTube didn't exist. We didn't even have cell phones in trucks yet. Now you have all this information at the touch of your thumb. One thing I've learned, I used to think, and I think a lot of people still think, I'm going to buy a truck, I'm going to work my way up to 5 trucks, and then I'm going to try to get the customers. I'm going to try to get some of my own freight. One thing I've learned that will make all the difference for you is get the work first. People will grow with you. They will wait for you to grow into serving them. Have the work first. If you're saying, I want to buy a truck right now, if you have something lined up for yourself, it's not a thing. I mean, it's just another Thursday, right? But if you're going to go out and spend all this money and get equipment and then try to find the work and hope for the best, that's a way different approach. it's going to be a rougher start.
That's a
But
failing approach in this market.
yeah,
Straight up.
it's going to be, you're going to have a rough road to hoe. But there is the opportunity out there. I mean, I'm not going to
Honest
sit here
question,
and
if you don't mind exposing this, not
yeah,
numbers or anything like that. In this dying market that a lot of people are dying in,
right.
are you making more money or less money in your business than you've ever made?
Margin wise, just slightly less. I mean, gross wise, yeah, less definitely. But I've made some changes to improve my margins so that my profit margin is maintaining close to the same or just slightly less. So we've definitely adapted. I've done some repositioning with some equipment and some debt to put me in a way better position and minimize my downside risk. So I'm actually probably not as worried as everybody else right now. And trust me, the last 2 years, man, we worked hard, like night and day, constant, and I mean freaking grinding to build these relationships and work with these people. And now, I'm glad. I couldn't be gladder. The guys that work for me, they did their part. They understand like the reasons and the sacrifice and why we did all that. And they're like, yeah, I'm glad we put in the extra effort.
No,
Because they see all their friends around them losing their trucks or having to sell everything, and they're still, making good money.
No, that's beautiful, and hey, kudos to you because you're not this guy behind a desk all the time. I can see that you're in your cab right now and you're trucking.
I shouldn't be in the cab. I should be home running the business, but the customer hit us with a bunch of freight, and I got to make sure it gets delivered.
Hey, that's one thing for all you entrepreneurs out there. I would say this, the least is get to the position where you can work on your business and not in your business.
Yeah.
And just like Adam said right now, he knows he's currently working in his business when he knows that working on his business can actually move the needle. So just remember that, people.
Yeah.
Just because you're willing to do everything and you're willing to put in 24 hours, hey, as the owner of your business, I don't know. Tell me if you agree with this or not. This is what I heard, and I kind of been going with it. If someone can do something 80% of what you do, delegate it. Because they're never going to 100% care.
No.
And that's no disrespect to anybody. They care, but they're not going to 100% care about your business like you're going to care about your business.
It was hard for me to let that go. Like in the beginning, I had all these trucks on the road and I'm still running, every day of the week. And then my buddy, my brother Cassius King told me, he's like, what are you doing? He says, you're wasting your time. He says, you should be home running the business. Things would change. And I thought about it and I'm like, yeah, he's right. So once I did that, that's when things started to change. Like people can get mad, it's, oh, my boss, all he does is sit at the desk. You don't know what he's doing, man. He's working for you. He's working on your behalf. He's working to make things better for everybody. Hey, it takes all those things to build a business.
No, I love that. It's so great because honestly, I'm going to take little snippets of all this and put them on, the shorts on TikTok and put them on all these things to let people know because, I really appreciate you for, taking time out of your day. But so you would say, number one, right now, if you have a game plan, you have work, truck prices are going down. Hey, it might be another Thursday for you. Make that business decision and possibly it might be right. If you got no game plan, people, do not do it. Do not buy the truck right now in a bad market and try to find business after. That's a failing that's definitely a failing strategy. Now when it comes to brokers, since you do the brokerage side, let's talk about, since you do it, are there any advice that are aha moments for the new guys and gals out there where you're just like, man, if I would have known this right away, it would have helped me book more loads, maybe get paid a little bit more. Any of that? Because I would love to let's help these viewers out. They're here to learn a little bit. And,
absolutely. Let me go back to a second ago when I said the most dangerous thing is what you think you know, right? And I'm no different than anybody else. Everything I say here, applies to me. And the reason I say it is because I had to learn it. So I came into all this with a preconceived notion of, this is how I'm going to do things. This is what I'm going to do. This is what I know. I think I'm good at it. I think I can do it. And then come to find out, ooh, yeah, there's all these other things that I don't really know. Be open to learning. Like, everybody's like, oh, brokers do this. It's easy. All you need is a laptop and this and that. No, you have no idea. Like, if you really want to know, go work at a brokerage for a while and see how things work. It's not what you think it is. And plus, when you learn these things and come back and bring it back to owning a trucking company, even if you're only one truck, you will be so much more well-rounded than you were before. You will be so much more successful. Learn all the aspects and get some hands-on experience in all the aspects. Hell, maybe go be an oil changer on some trucks for a few weeks. Do some tires. When you really start to understand every aspect is when you really start to be successful, because everybody has their opinions on brokers. I get it. I used to think that way, but now I understand. I work with brokers instead of thinking they're my oppressor. From the first time I call them, I'm trying to build a relationship with them on the phone. I'm not just trying to book one load with them. I called one guy last week. We ended up talking for an hour. I didn't really want to, but he liked to talk. And the more he talked, the more information I got. So I just let him talk. People like to talk, and it's all information. So, make mental notes. But the more I do this, the longer I do this, the one thing that becomes more evident to me every day is this is all about relationships. It is the most important thing. It is more important than half the other things in this industry. It is that important. Relationships with maintenance, fuel, brokers, customers, every aspect of it. Every aspect of it. It's the only thing.
No, I love that. So if we were to put in order right now, if your goal is to be an owner operator one day, if we were to put this in a list order, would you say, before even getting your CDL, go work for a freight brokerage for 3-4 months just to get a feel of what that is, and then go get a CDL? Would you say that would be definitely an amazing tool to have in your pocket?
Oh, all tools are great. Every tool is great. I mean, if you intend, if you're buying a truck to lease onto a carrier, maybe it's not so important. But if you're intending to get your own authority and, build maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trucks, information is deadly, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna learn. So conversations you have with a broker, right? So we think, okay, I know how to do this. I know how to sell. I'll call shippers by myself, get my own freight. Conversation with a shipper is very different. It's a very different conversation than one you're going to have with a broker. And if you could get some experience at a brokerage for a week, 2 weeks, a month, and learn how to have these conversations, take it back to your business. You learned it on somebody else's dime, right? You didn't have to learn the hard way. Think about how much you increased your chance of success learning this information on somebody else's dime and having it from day one of starting your own business. You're armed and dangerous.
I love that. At the end of the day, let's have some fun with this.
All right.
Let's tell me something that you never told anybody. It could be anything. Tell me something that nobody has ever heard. It could be you could be a figure skater and we didn't know you were a gold Olympian figure skater in the past.
So I have a YouTube channel. I haven't been putting out a ton of content lately because I've been swamped with my business, but I have, probably 400 videos out. You might not know, unless you watch some of the earlier videos, that I have an immense fear of public speaking. That to do this, I'm very shy and reserved. To do the YouTube and do this is very out of character for me. I had to force. Here's something that helped me in my business, though. Somebody a long time ago told me that if you have to force yourself to do things that you hate and they're uncomfortable for you. So what I did years ago is I was involved in church. I made myself start getting up to the podium and doing readings and stuff like that. Terrified, bumbling and stumbling, but I learned how to do it. And YouTube the same way. Like I forced myself to do it. It is out of character for me, but it's been like a self-help improvement thing. It's made all the difference, and it's made me a better business person. It's made me less fearful to speak to people. Fear is a real thing in business and just in life. Like to pick up the phone and call somebody or talk to somebody or think that shippers are unapproachable is one of the biggest things holding a lot of people back. Like, and if you're not good at something, hire somebody who is. If you can't do sales, hire a salesman. Like you said, outsource it. Or you can make yourself good at it by doing some things that really suck. Public speaking really sucks, but
Really,
I've gotten to be where I can do it.
You. I did not know that about you. Hopefully this brings some enlightenment to a lot of the viewers out there, because this guy is a humble guy. He has a successful business in a time that's not so amazing, and this little YouTube channel he keeps on talking about. He doesn't have a small YouTube channel. He has a lot of amazing people that care about him. And so to hear that you were so shy and, you strayed away from public speaking, but you're essentially a YouTuber, an influencer, you own a trucking company, right? Just know that we as people can make things happen, and
absolutely. Like you can just, you know what? Don't worry about what anybody else thinks. Just get out there and grind it and hustle and say, I'm not going to stop until I succeed, or you know what, I might die trying, but then again, I might not. That's the level of determination. Right now, things are rough. That's all you hear about on YouTube is how much things suck. What I don't hear anybody talking about is get out there and just grind the hard work, like everything, put everything you got into it. Like you're so working so hard, you got to get out of the truck and fall down. You can't hold yourself up, just it's hard work overcomes a lot of things. There will be better times. There will be better times. And guess what? You make it through this, you get out there and you grind and bust it, and you're going to be so well situated when the times get better.
Oh yeah, no. In time of inspiration, we need it so bad. Inspiration is one thing that a lot of people have lost in the trucking industry, and I am doing my best to interview positivity as well and put those out there for people to see, because there are people that are doing well. And when I say well, I quantify everything well by your happiness. Your happiness is everything. If money makes you happy, that's great. It doesn't hurt, but overall, it's just happiness. You know what I mean?
I get a lot of satisfaction out of where I started and where I am now. I didn't think I had it in me. I didn't know I could do it. I thought I could, but you always have self-doubt. But you got to block all that out. People will just hit you with negativity every day, all day. And pretty soon you'll start to believe them. If you got to cut people out of your life that are treating you that way, because if you sit there and don't say nothing, you're teaching them how to treat you, right? But if you say, wait a minute, hold up, like we don't do that anymore. You're teaching them that you don't accept that. You're on a different path. And a lot of it's just noise, just day-to-day noise. Block it out and just do your thing.
Oh no, I love that. It's like, it's like that quote I've been telling everybody for the last 4 days. It's just that I heard, I think possibly on Instagram Reels or something, right? Just about, stop trying to impress people that make less money than you. Stop trying to impress people that work less than you. Stop trying to impress people that don't care about you, and stop trying to impress anybody but you. Like,
exactly.
If you could move the needle for yourself, seriously, people, if you could move the needle for yourself every day, just a little bit, whatever that is, if you're not great at public speaking, hey, you talk to a stranger today, whatever that is, you feel like you're not making great food choices. Man, today I had a salad. Boom. Like whatever that is, impress yourself, and I'm really talking to myself here, people, because
I got to give myself pep talks every now and then.
We have to, right?
Tough times don't last. Tough people do.
Hey,
right.
I love that. I guess because you played that game, I could tell people too, like, to be honest, I'm not that confident of a person. I'm really not.
I'm the same way.
Every time I do something, every time I think of the worst. I think like, you know what? I'm gonna post this video. It's the end of me. I'm gonna post this video and say my truth. It's the end of me. I'm gonna post, or I'm gonna talk about this, or whatever it is. I'm gonna stop trucking and do social media full time. You should have seen those emails for a while. That is the worst decision that you could ever do, Alex. You're a mover. What the heck? You over here trying to be a 10-year-old kid doing TikTok dances? What is it? Right? And so, hey, pave your own path, people. Let people follow your trail.
That's right.
And if you're not ready for that and you still need some pep talks, hey, that's why we have our channels. That's what we're doing. Make sure you guys follow, subscribe to DIY. YouTube 100%. Any other social medias, DIY?
It's the only one I do. I've time limitations, and just Facebook, people just seem to like to argue and things. So I'm not a type of person that likes to argue. So just say what I got to say, and it's good or bad for you, and we move on.
Hey, people that move in silence are the people that really move. So
there you go.
Hey, I appreciate it. If you want to end this with anything, this is your time. You want to shout out your folks. I know Cash is King is your boy. Whatever it is you like to do, do it, brother.
No, everybody check out my brother at Cash is King Trucking, and it's a great channel. We do a lot of things together. That's we practically share a brain sometimes, but it's block out the noise, figure out what it is you want to do, block out the noise, and go do it. There's always opportunity somewhere. You just got to find it. And think things through. I did a live stream a couple of weeks ago it's called The Truth About Broker Transparency. Watch it with an open mind. At least say, I'm gonna watch this one thing with an open mind. And at the end, if you still disagree, hey, you still disagree. But there's other sides to every issue. Before you want somebody to pass a law or put a burden on somebody, make sure you've considered all sides of it. Something we didn't talk about, let me get this out there too. What's to stop them from turning around and doing this to us? What they say, okay, well, I want to see your numbers. I want to see what your profit margin is and this and that. Because I got one truck, I'll tell you right now, that for the last 4 months has run over a 70% profit margin. If I call a broker for a load and he says, well, I got to see your margins on this truck, and I tell him it's 75%, he's like, you can't make that much. We're going to pay you less because you're not entitled to make that much. Hey, they got more money than us. They could get that done. So don't do something to somebody you don't want them turning around and doing back to you.
Well, I like that. I have a lot of sound bites, a lot of motivation. And also, I'll be clipping a lot of these pieces in the beginning, the first 30 seconds, so that right away, I'm going to do that for this one because editing is key.
Yeah.
I can easily say on this video, don't hate this man for this broker. He does not want broker transparency. Oh, that's my title right there. Broker transparency will kill owner operators.
There you go.
But guess what? When they click it, I'm not going to start with the thought process and what you're saying right away. Right. I'm going to go with the clips of talking about positivity, talk about letting people know that your experience. Also, how many years have you been doing this?
24.
So 24 years. This is hey, it's no drop in the bucket type stuff. So I'm going to do you right.
Just do your thing. Right.
You know what I mean?
Do your thing. Hey, I'm willing to acknowledge I can be wrong, but that's my truth. That's my side of it, and I'd like to think I thought it all the way through, a little deeper than most have. So
I think you're going to get a lot of people that agree with you. Mother truckers, comment down below. Let us know. Definitely DIY. Make sure you follow my man. And just because I know DIY loves Cash is King, and I do too, make sure you follow him too. So
all right.
It is. Hey,
thanks, brother.